All right, on this lovely rainy day in Chicago, I am driving the Mustang Mach E, and this is the rally edition. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a road trip. Because what else do you do in the winter in an electric car? You drive 200 miles and see if you can actually make it to your destination. So, yeah, we are driving from Chicago to Indianapolis. I've got the destination plugged in on the GPS. It says it's 194 miles. And right now, it doesn't have us stopping anywhere along the way. So I'm going to take the information that I learned on the Hyundai Ioniq N drive, and I'm not going to speed. I'm probably going to go just a little bit under the speed limit. And we've got 200 and I think it says 58 miles of range to see if we can get to Indianapolis. And even though it's raining, it's not actually that cold. So, all right, here we go. My name is Jill Ciminillo with Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk. Let's take a road trip. Okay, before we actually take off, I just wanted to verify I have 252 miles of range. It says that it's going to take me 194 miles to get to my destination, and I am currently at 100% of a charge. So as you can see, I do have the instructions programmed into the navigation, and it does not have me stopping at an Electrify America or a charging station along the way, though I have heard rumors. I've heard rumors that there is a new charging station in Remington, Indiana, which means I don't have to sit in the back of a Walmart parking lot if I need to stop and charge. So hopefully I don't have to check that out on this trip, but we'll see. All right, we have officially hit the halfway point. I have 94 miles to go. I have 135 miles of range, and I have 61% of my battery. So I really think we can make it without stopping to charge. Now, I've played around with my speed a little bit, and I had it at 70 and I was losing range, so I dropped it down to 68. I was still losing range, but that was where the sweet spot was for the Hyundai Ioniq 5N. So I was like, ooh, maybe I could go 68 miles per hour. Okay, so I've been going about 66 miles per hour, and I found that I'm not really losing range anymore. So at least not quickly. So I think that 66, unfortunately, is about the sweet spot for this vehicle in terms of the speed that I can travel on a highway, and that happens to be 4 miles per hour less than the speed limit. The speed limit here is 70 miles per hour. So we are going to make a pit stop in Lafayette, not to charge. We are going to go to the Starbucks and grab some food and coffee. Maybe I'll do another check-in after that and let you know how confident I'm feeling. But, I mean, we have 134 miles of range, 92 miles to go. I think we're going to make it. I think we're going to make it. And the really interesting thing is the hotel that we're staying at, it's a Courtyard Marriott in Fishers, Indiana. There is a charging station there. So I'll walk you through that, too, as I try and figure that out. Because if I could charge there overnight instead of sitting in a Myers parking lot, I would like that. So just a quick little check-in. It's about 37 degrees. We've been having a steady rain the entire drive. The other thing I wanted to mention is that I did try to pre-warm the vehicle. I do have access to the Ford Pass app this week. And so while my vehicle was still plugged in, I tried to go ahead and warm it up. And I feel like I might have done something wrong because it didn't work. So we'll try again once I get to Indiana. We'll try again from the hotel and see if I can pre-warm. Maybe it just didn't want to work on a 110 volt jack. So, but when you're driving in colder weather, pre-warming is very helpful so that you maintain your battery and you maintain your battery longevity and get as much range out of the vehicle as possible. So I've also been driving with the climate controls at 68 degrees. I have had my heated seat on, off and on. But you know what? If you look at the screen here, you can see that climate use is only 12%. It's actually driving is 85%. And I mean, that's just totally going to be due to speed. So yeah. And the exterior temperature isn't drawing any of the, range. So, all right. I feel like I've rambled on long enough. That is what I have for you at this check-in point. We may or may not check in at Lafayette, but I'll definitely check in once we get to the hotel. All right, we have arrived at our destination at the Courtyard Marriott in Fishers, Indiana. And yep, so there is a charging station here. I don't know what kind of charging station it is. I don't know if I can just plug in and get power. I don't know if I have to pay for it. Yeah, let's go figure it out. This is definitely going to be a level 2 charging station though, so it's not going to add a lot of power, but hopefully it'll be enough. So first off, I want to say I got here with 38 miles of range, so I made it. I didn't have to charge on the way here, but essentially that means I have about 200 highway miles of driving. So not ideal, but I mean enough. And I will say, if there were the need to stop, I probably would have done the quick stops. So you go in, you plug in, you go to the bathroom, you come back out, you leave, you add like 20 miles of range. But thankfully we didn't need to do that. And yeah, let's see if we can figure out this charging situation. All right, so this is the charging station. It says Clipper Creek Electric Vehicle Charging Station, high power. Don't exactly know what that means, but level 2. So let's not drop this in the wet ground before I plug it into electric places. Okay, so it doesn't look like there's an app or anything. It looks like it might be free. I plugged it in. This, I think, means it's charging. I'm like waiting for this to go. Let me just do this. Yeah. Okay. It says charging. It'll charge, and it says that it's going to be at 100% at 5:26 a.m. So this looks free. Awesome. We're only going to be here for a couple of hours before we go pick up my mom for New Year's Eve dinner. But then I'll be back and I'll charge overnight for free. That's awesome. All right. Just wanted to do a quick check-in. We are getting ready to leave Fishers, Indiana, and head back to Chicago. And I want to point out that we were able to charge at the hotel, so I'm leaving at 100%, and it says we have 229 miles of range. Now, I do want to point out it is just a little bit colder than it was when we were coming up, so I have to admit I'm a little bit nervous about the range going up, but we will, again, modulate our speed, and we'll pass Lafayette, go up to Remington, and see if we can make it past that as well. Yeah, fingers crossed we don't have to stop to charge. 229 miles of range, it's a bit iffy. All right, before we take off, I just wanted to give you a quick look at what I am looking at. And we are, the navigation says we're going 193 miles. I have 229 miles of range. And before I programmed in the navigation and hit go, it said we would arrive at our destination with 15% of the battery. So that's cutting it a little bit close, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. So 229 miles, 193 miles, 100%. Yeah, let's finish our road trip. All right, we are halfway back to Chicago, and it is time for me to do a little bit of a check-in. We have gone about 97 miles, so I have 96 miles left to go, and I have 129 miles of range left. I have 59% of the battery. So, I mean, I'm feeling a little bit nervous, but this gives me about a 33-mile buffer, which again is making me feel a little bit nervous, but I think we're going to make it, and that's a good thing because we just passed the last charging station up to Chicago. So, I mean, I'm sure there'll be some fast chargers around Chicago if I find myself in a little bit of a pickle, but we're going for broke here. I think I'm going to make it. So while I have you on the line here, I figure I will also give you some driving impressions. So I'm using Blue Cruise, and I am going hands-free. And I will say this is a very, very persnickety system, because when I like look at the navigation for a period of time, or I'm like looking out my mirrors, the car is always like, beep, 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 look at the road, look at the road. And I'm like, I'm checking my mirrors. Where else would you like me to look? So it's just a little bit sensitive. But overall, it's doing a pretty good job. I will say I do feel like it's kind of bobbling me between the lane lines today, and that's a little bit weird. I didn't feel that on the way down. So, but overall, pretty good system. Does the lane changes, not automatic lane changes. You do have to like hit your blinker to indicate that you would like to change lanes. But I will tell you if a lane change is possible, like scanning the area, telling you that nobody is around you. So I've been going between 60 and 65 miles an hour, and I've been, surrounded by semis a lot. So I think that the drafting is probably helping a little bit as well in terms of helping me build miles. I just went up to 34 miles of range, and the truck in front of me is only going 58 at the moment. But I know we're going to run into some traffic. I know we are going to hit some slower speeds. So I'm actually fairly confident we will make it with at least 35, maybe 40 miles of range left. So let's keep going. But in terms of everything else, I think the seats are really comfortable. I have noticed, like, when I rest my head on the headrest as we were hitting the bumps, my head's kind of been bobbling a little bit, and that's annoying to me. But for the most part, I think this is a very comfortable ride. The roads have been fairly smooth, so we're not doing that too much. But overall, I like this Mustang Mach E. I just wish it had a little bit more range, but that's what you get with all-wheel drive GT Rally Edition. But as long as you don't drive like a jerk, you can make it. I hope. All right, it is time for my final check-in. I have arrived back in Chicago, and I have 33 miles of range left and 16% battery, and that is pretty much where I expected to be. And you know what? Let's just take a quick look at where my energy went. So as you can see, a little bit of it was the exterior temperature. There was some that went to the accessories, but primarily it went to driving, and that's going to be because of my speed. And then 8% went to climate. So it's just kind of an interesting look at driving an EV when it's colder outside. And I definitely noticed as the temperature dropped, I needed to kind of slow down even more and be even more conservative so that I wouldn't lose the range. But this was me not driving the speed limit, and I made it to Chicago where it said I would get. So 33 miles range and 16% of battery life. I think it said it would have 15% of the battery life left. But here you go. I'm home. All right, because it's getting dark, I'm not really going to do much of a sign off here. And what I want to say is thank you for playing the range game with me in the Ford Mustang Mach E Rally GT all-wheel drive model. I will see you down the road.